When speaking with our founders on the Lean Stack program, common questions I find them asking are about their elevator pitches. So I'm here with investment manager and startup consultant Luke and Dan to ask those questions and get some insight into what they're looking for from your elevator pitch. So Luke and Dan, are you ready?
Yeah, sounds good.
Absolutely. Do it.
Cool, let's get to it. So to start with, what is an elevator pitch?
So I guess an elevator pitch is a well-structured and brief summary of your business and business activities designed to give someone enough information that they can start asking more questions and follow up. So it's not an entire 10-minute pitch on the business, it's the highlights and what are you actually doing.
Okay, cool. So the second question would be, what are the differences between a value proposition, a positioning statement, and an elevator pitch? Because they're all quite similar, aren't they?
I think they're all tools used to explain different parts of the business, but I guess I would say maybe that a value proposition is what value does your product or business give to a customer, and your elevator pitch is what is your business and why is that interesting to somebody else. So I think it's the difference between business and product, personally. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, for me, an elevator pitch is kind of a very quick synopsis overview of what's going on. But a value proposition isn't necessarily about features. It's about what you as an end user is taking home, is taking away from it that you find valuable, that you're willing to part money with.
Great. I think the other thing to say is an elevator pitch could include small parts of a value proposition statement. You might express what value you add to customers within that, but not thoroughly.
So why do we use elevator pitches then? Like, why are they important?
I mean, from my perspective, I think even without the ability to talk about your business quickly and being able to seize opportunities that might come across, um, people need to understand what you're doing and what you're trying to achieve. And genuinely, the number one step we're trying to help founders is trying to understand what they're doing. And if they are struggling to articulate that, it lowers your kind of confidence in them, your ability to understand, and it is often the reason that you can't take stuff any further. So the reason it's so important is that first, to be helped, you need to be understood, and most founders can't be understood because they haven't practiced their elevator pitch.
Sure. I mean, for me, I'd agree completely with everything you're saying, Luke. I think also a good thing to add there is the fact that an elevator pitch is a very, very quick way of getting something across to somebody else so they can understand it, hopefully to a good level where they can engage with you. And the way to think about that is investors themselves see hundreds and hundreds of pitches all the time. So if you can be quite articulate in condensing the pitch down into a very, very simple, easy to understand way that conveys the message across of what the company is and how it's going to go forward and what it's going to do, then it can really, really help you cut through the rest and help you stand out. So for me, that's quite important as well.
That's
Yeah.
quite interesting because I think when I first thought of like an elevator pitch, it was more just like the time sort of thing. So it was like it's just a really condensed way of like looking at it. Being able to articulate yourself just quickly, and that was the point of it. But I didn't think about it as sort of like a competitiveness. So like there's been so many other people that actually like it would help you be more memorable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so speaking about that then, and speaking about like how long they should be. So
Yeah.
how long should an elevator pitch be? Because when I've done like my research, I've seen that some say 60 seconds, some say a couple of minutes, some say like 5 minutes. So how long should an elevator pitch be?
So the origin of the word comes from literally an elevator. So if you got in a bottom floor elevator with an investor and you've got until the top floor to talk to them about your business and get them interested, then you're naturally pressured into putting a pitch into less than a minute, I would say, probably 30 to 40 seconds. So it's not so much about what's the expectation on me for an elevator pitch. It's more about how concisely can I say this because I don't know what type of limiting factor will be on me in the future. So I want to be able to express myself as confidently and as concisely as possible so that if that elevator ride is 15 seconds, I can still get out of my mouth what my business is doing. Um, in terms of the Nova pitches, I think if you're going over 2 minutes, you've missed the point. as a hard rule.
Dan, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I would agree. Because it does get to a point where you can say too much, and it can kind of take away from the main core message that you're trying to get across. So too long is definitely the worst way of going about it, but also too short. So, if it's not even 30 seconds long, that is probably too short for an investor to be able to really get a good grasp of what's going on and how you fit in the world and how you see things as a founder with your problem or idea. So for me, the ideal sweet spot is about sort of 30 seconds to a minute. Any more than that, you could maybe get away with it, but the sweet spot for me is about 30 to 60 seconds.
Okay, then. So, with that in mind, with an elevator pitch being so short, what should you include in an elevator pitch? What are the most vital things that you need to talk about?
Interesting one.
Yeah, I quite like it to have slightly linear story, so starting somewhere small and ending a bit bigger. So for me, it's of course start with what problem you're looking to solve within the world. Then I like to know how many other people might have that problem. So how many other users or how many other customers, what your potential solution will be. So tell me how you're going to solve this long-standing problem that affects many people, how you might make a bit of money, and then ultimately why are you the person to look into to solving this. And I think that's just a five pieces of information that takes you from what's the company trying to do, for how many people, and what do they look like, what are you going to offer them, how much are you going to charge them, and what gives you the experience or the insight or the motivation to solve these problems long term, because it's going to be difficult. And I think if you can cover those five pieces, that should be enough for anyone to understand whether or not they want to take it forward into a longer conversation or not.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want to add, Dan?
Sure. I mean, I completely agree with Luke's points. They're kind of the strongest ones that we would tend to look for, not necessarily just at Nova, but in VC in general. Just to sort of drill into 2 points of what Luke mentioned, the focus on the solution side of things isn't necessarily talking about features, because features aren't necessarily very important at this point to an investor. What's more important to them is understanding what the value proposition is. So what the end user is taking away from it, not necessarily what they're going to get to do or engage with. And it just helps really solidify how your solution top level is going to attack and address the problem or the unmet need of the user. And then the other thing with the why you, it's kind of also just sort of suggesting what unique advantage do you have? Why are you going to be the founder who makes this work over everybody else? And that's not necessarily saying why you've got experience in some place or you've got domain expertise or something else in the market. It can be any mix of these things. It's just got to be something that we can understand, and you can take this idea and really, really run for it.
Yeah, because I think the founder is just as equally as important, isn't it? Like we've seen, there's been so many great ideas, but it tends to be drilled down to, the founder's perseverance, their determination, and just ultimately whether they're a good founder or not.
Yeah, very right.
Absolutely.
So, do you have any examples of any good elevator pitches that you could share?
Gimlet Media's first ever video, and the founder approached an investor and recorded it and did his own elevator pitch, and it didn't go very well.
That was good. Yeah, Mark Saka, didn't he?
That's it, Mark. Yeah.
Chris Saka.
Chris Saka. Yeah. So founder of Gimlet Media approached Chris Saka, who's a Silicon Valley legendary angel investor. He got about 5 minutes with him walking around in a park in San Francisco. And during this time, the founder recorded himself and then uploaded it as a podcast later on, of him conducting an elevator pitch with Chris Saka and recording all of his feedback. The interesting thing was the feedback itself was absolutely golden to the founder, because the pitch he did, the elevator pitch, sucked. It was rubbish. And Chris Saka openly told him that, and the founder even admitted that he was very nervous, he didn't know what to say, he was anxious, but the feedback that Chris Saka gave, granted Chris Saka is a very, very well-known investor, is very good. So I recommend checking out that video, which there'll be a link somewhere.
Yeah, I just dropped the link in the answers section as well, Megan. It's a 53-second video from a university business pitching competition, but it's brilliant. It's much better than what me and Dan will be able to give you now. But he goes all the way from concept to how he's going to get this thing to happen in 50 seconds. And honestly, I'm in. Like, I'd invest today off this 50-second pitch. So I would genuinely. I can show it you just quickly now if you want.
Yeah, let's hear it.
It's a cold night and you're at your son's football game. After the first quarter, you realize these bleachers are so cold, my butt is numb. I have the perfect solution, the hot seat. The hot seat is a cushioned stadium seat with a heated base and back. Now, there are cushioned stadium seats available that aren't heated, and heated stadium pads that don't offer back support. The hot seat combines these two elements, providing a portable, cushioned, heated stadium seat with a USB port to charge your mobile device. According to WorldStadiums.com, there are over 73 million outdoor stadium seats in America alone. I'll use the internet, my personal NFL connections, and amateur booster club organizations to sell 2,000 units by year 3, resulting in $120,000 in sales. I need $19K for development, manufacturing, and marketing. Investors can expect a 3x return by year 3. Don't let frost bite your buns. Get the hot seat.
Oh, that's really good. Okay. I would have invested. I feel like I was sold. Okay, then. So the next question, this might be a bit tricky. So how would you construct an elevator pitch?
Yeah, I think the only other things is that there's no shortcut on practicing it. Like, yeah, you can write it, but you have to get feedback on it. You have to say it a lot, and you have to go around the loop until you perfect what you're saying. And it's really clear when someone's worked on it and when someone hasn't. So whilst you can look all up online at how you'll construct it, it's really about getting comfortable with it yourself and knowing what you're about to say. And there is no shortcut for that. So you just have to keep refining it and keep practicing.
Okay. So for those on Nova's program, is there anything that you're specifically looking for within their elevator pitches?
For me, there's two things. It's a chance for you to tell me anything that wasn't within the lean stack, your application, something exciting about your business that maybe you didn't find the right place to talk about, then feel free to put that in the Nova pitch. And the second thing really is personality. We're not looking for highly polished videos of wooden people in front of cameras. We just want to get a bit of a feel for who you are and how you might be to work with. So I encourage people to take less rehearsed videos. Rehearse your pitch, but don't worry about the video production quality. Just get yourself in front of the camera, talk like you would talk normally, because we want to see what you like.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Did you have anything you wanted to say, Dan?
Sure. I mean, it's hard to sort of say that we're looking for something specific because elevator pitches can come in so many different forms of so many different founders, and there's no right and wrong really ultimately what we're looking for. But in terms of a structure that gets across the message in the best way, that myself and Luke will be able to really understand, would be including the fundamentals of what it is you're trying to get across. So that's starting with the problem. What is the problem? How many people is it affecting, or how big is that market? And then that enables us to get a bit more excited about that. And it demonstrates you understand a lot about the dynamics of it. And then really the value proposition is kind of how you are positioning this different to anybody else. Why somebody would really be interested in your solution over and above everything else. And then another aspect that's really important to get across is kind of touching with what Luke said with personality is it's why you? Why should we see you as the person who's going to definitely scale this to be a huge successful business? And personality is a great way to get that across. It helps show passion. So really, we're open to what we see, but the idea for me is something that stands out, something that's unique. I want to be a bit blown away. I want to be quite excited about the idea. And passion helps show that through. So for me, it's those kind of things that are quite important to getting across in the pitch.
Yeah, and I think especially as well in that example, he literally, like what you guys have been saying, he painted a picture of the situation. He then explained the problem, and then he really went into, how he's gonna develop this into like a £1 billion company. And I think, you know, if someone was to able to do that successfully with Nova, would be sold.
Yeah, exactly. I think, you know, passion forgives a lot of problems. So maybe your pitch isn't super tight, but you have a clear passion and understanding of the space, then we take the meeting. If your pitch is way out of left field, but it still covers the basics and is really interesting, then we'll still meet you. That sounds good. What we don't want is a 5-minute boring pitch with someone woodenly in front of the camera. You can't get any feel for them. That's what we don't want to see. So we'd rather them be creative and you know, be true to themselves, so to speak, in their video than try to make it something that they're not, because we'll be able to see straight through that.
I think as well, sort of ironically, it's easy to sort of get caught up on the production of things, isn't it?
Yeah,
But
it is.
that's not really lean practice.
It's not, and I think if they knew how few minutes I spent watching these videos, they wouldn't be sending their 7th version through. It's
Yeah.
literally like I watch it once or twice and decide whether I want to take a call. It's not. It doesn't need all that time putting into it, really.
Like it could be filmed on like a 2005 video recorder with
Yeah,
really
no problem.
pixels and no.
Yeah, no problem.
As long as it sounds interesting.
Okay, then. So to summarize, what 3 things should you keep front of mind when creating an elevator pitch? So, like, any final tips?
Okay, my final tips would be explain, don't sell. People are already looking to do deals and looking to invest. So just explain what you're doing. No need to try and make it sound better than it is. Let them maybe be the decision of that. 2, yeah, let your personality shine through. People don't want to work with boring stiffs. They want to work with interesting people. So be yourself. And 3rd, yeah, you know, the business is what it is right now, and you can only be truthful to where you are today and where you want to get to. Don't worry about trying to make it sound better than it is or more advanced than it is. It's really about getting the right fit of investor, and the right fit will appreciate where you are and help you get to the next spot. So just be clear with what you're trying to do. If it's got merit, it'll speak for itself. Be yourself, and yeah, try not to oversell it.
The explain, don't sell was one of mine as well. Thanks, Luke. For me, I guess the 3 final ones, do some research, go online, look at other people doing it across all different spectrums, whether it's in tech businesses, whether it's in different kinds of businesses, whether it's applying for a job, whatever it is, it's good practice to be able to elevate a pitch in any situation. So research online, YouTube, very good tool. Keeping it short is really simple. Simple is really good. It's very easy to digest, so we're not getting kind of confused or maybe misled in anything that you're trying to say. So it's quite clear and concise. And then finally, start with the problem. Always start with the problem, and then build on the problem of who is that problem is impacting directly.
Well, thanks for that today. Anyway,
Cool.
Wonderful. Thanks, Meg. See you later.
Bye-bye.
we hope you enjoyed that discussion today. And as always, if you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below and we'll get back to you.